Let's talk about how you can overcome those fears. You know, that fear that you have of not being good enough, that fear of not getting the promotion, not that fear of not having a successful business, not losing the weight, not being able to have a good, healthy relationship, that fear that's holding you back from trying something that you think might work, but you won't try it because of the fear. I want to talk to you today about how you can take that fear and replace it with your own courage just by doing 4 simple things. That feeling of fear that you have is nothing more than an emotion that was first a thought. So your fear comes from what you think, your thought process. What are you feeding your mind every single day? Because everything that you think about, it becomes an emotion, and that emotion projects the feeling. Your fear is a result of an overactive imagination. So you think of something that could possibly go wrong, and then you dwell on that thing that could possibly go wrong. And now that thing has grown legs, arms, roots, and it's this huge, massive, giant monster in your mind. All because you had this overactive imagination of all of the ways that it could go wrong, or just one way it could go wrong in so many different ways. If you allow fear to control your mind, then your thoughts will scare your future out of you. You know, you've been scared. Oh my gosh, ooh, you scared the mess out of me. That's what fearful thoughts do. They scare the future out of you, that future that you're destined to have, that future that's right there waiting for you to step into all of your greatness and all of your glory. You're allowing the fear of the unknown to scare that great future out of you. So how do you fix it? How do you overcome your fear of not being able to get into a good, healthy relationship with somebody? How do you overcome your fear with not being able to get that promotion that you think you deserve? How do you overcome your fear of not being able to start that business that you want to be successful, but you think it's not going to be successful? How do you overcome all of these fears? The first thing you have to do is acknowledge the fear. You can't solve a problem if you're in denial that the problem is a problem. So acknowledge that you have this fearful thought about this thing. You want to have a strong, healthy, positive relationship, but you just don't believe that there's anyone out there for you. Okay, that's a fear, because you're using all of the stuff that happened to you in the past to dictate your future, when your past does not define your future. You define your future in this present moment. So if you can take in consideration the fact that this is a fear, you can look at it and say, okay, that's a fear. Write it down. This is what I'm afraid of. Write it down and acknowledge it. Then the second thing you want to do is identify the worst and the best possible outcomes of whatever scenario. So you want a healthy relationship. You want a good quality relationship. You want to find somebody who loves you as much as you're willing to love them. What's the worst thing that could happen if you start dating again? You want to lose weight. You want to get healthier because you want to be here for your kids and your grandkids. What's the worst thing that could happen if you start exercising and eating right? So on one side of the paper, write all the worst down. Just write them down. Get them all out of your system, because you're thinking about them anyways. So just write them all down. Then on the other half of the paper, start writing a list of all of the best possible outcomes that this situation could have. Oh my goodness, you find somebody who thinks just like you. You find somebody who loves you more than you thought you could be loved. You find somebody who wants to travel the world with you and have these type of kids with you and have these pets and have this type of relationship. You find a way to exercise every day. Oh my gosh, you lose more weight than you expected to lose. Your body is in a better shape than you expected it to be in. You can now run with your grandkids when before you had to sit back and watch them. Write down all of the best possible solutions to this scenario. And think hard, because if you sit down and write them down, then you're going to realize that the best possible outcomes are going to outweigh the list of possible outcomes that are the worst possible outcomes. The third thing you want to do is stop trying to control the things that aren't controllable. So you want to have a good relationship with somebody, but you're not meeting anybody in this moment. You can't control that. But what you can do is control the person who you are and who you're becoming, so that when you do meet the person that's for you, he or she will be able to see how much you love yourself before, so that he or she doesn't have the weight of having to prove their love to you. Or maybe you're trying to lose 30 pounds and this week something happened, you couldn't get to the gym. You couldn't control the situations that happened, but you could control what you did at home. Did you decide that because your tire was flat or because there was a storm outside that you just weren't going to exercise? Or did you say, all right, well, this is not going to stop me because I still have space at home to do something? Control what you can control and release the things that are uncontrollable. Take that pressure off of you because that's not your responsibility. Your responsibility is you. The fourth thing, if you want to overcome any fear that you have with becoming that better person of yourself that you want to be, that you think you deserve, is to start taking time out to train your mind. Sit down for a minute, 10 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day, in quiet. Don't allow the distractions of social media and the dings on your phone and the children and your spouse, whatever situations that can come up. Don't let them distract you. Set an alarm. This is the time of day that I'm going to sit down and I'm going to focus on training my mind. Because we have so many negative thoughts that go on in our mind. And when they sit there and they take up real estate in our mind, they become our reality. And our reality remains the same. So if you're at a place right now where you can't master your own thoughts and you don't have the strength or the mental power to push those negative thoughts out when you're sitting in silence, here's what you do. You grab your headphones, you grab your AirPods, and you find a motivational thing on YouTube. Or you get access to a motivational or a positive thinking audiobook. Find something that you can listen to so that you're not listening to yourself in this quiet time, but you're listening to something or someone who can help you get out of that negative mental state. Fear is just a belief that things are going to go bad, instead of having the faith that believing that things will go good. It's all in your mind. Because everything that you create and you project out of fear, it hasn't even happened yet. And you don't know if it's going to happen. So if you start replacing those fearful thoughts with positive possible thoughts, then your life is going to get brighter. Your days are going to get better. Your confidence in yourself is going to grow. And that person that you want to become is going to be knocking on your door before you know it. But you just got to do those simple things. Write down your fear and acknowledge it. Write down all of the worst possible outcomes of this fear and all of the best possible outcomes of this fear. And notice that the possible outcomes that are good are going to outweigh the ones that are bad. Stop trying to control all of the things that are out of your control. You don't need anything else to be anxious about, to be fearful and worried about. Just control what you can control. And those outer things are going to respond to the way that you present yourself from the inside. And spend time every single day training your mind to be positive. Because maybe you don't realize this, but up until now, you've been training your mind to be negative. You've been allowing the news to influence you. You've been allowing gossip to influence you. You've been allowing your parents' negativity to influence. All of these things, even if they're good intentions, have been influencing you, and you've been training to look for the negative. The weatherman says it's 40% chance of rain. He doesn't say it's a 60% chance of sunshine. Everything's been training you to be negative. So take at least 10 minutes a day and retrain your mind to look for the positive, to look for the opportunity, to look for the advantages, to look for the possibilities. And you're going to overcome that fear.